The most important obligation that we in my industry have to you is to tell you the truth.
So Ben Shapiro just dismantled 60 Minutes for weaponizing an assassin's manifesto against Trump. And this exposes how mainstream media legitimizes conspiracy theories. We're seeing the total collapse of journalistic standards when political hatred overrides truth. Let's break down how the left justifies misinformation.
Well, the President of the United States was asked about 60 Minutes about the accusations, the pedophile, racist traitor stuff in the manifesto. And here is the president.
Classic 60 Minutes gotcha journalism. Reading a would-be assassin's deranged manifesto on national television to attack a sitting president. This is journalistically reckless. News outlets have long-standing policies against amplifying manifestos because it encourages copycats and spreads extremist messaging. But political bias overrode professional standards here.
I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person.
Trump's reaction is completely justified here. Responsible journalism means not platforming assassins' writings. The New Zealand shooter's manifesto was deliberately suppressed by most outlets to prevent contagion. But 60 Minutes broadcast this live to attack Trump politically. That's advocacy masquerading as journalism, and it's dangerous.
So, again, he is right that these sorts of lies being told over and over and over are a problem, obviously, and people granting them legitimacy is also a problem. Now,
this hits the core issue. When mainstream institutions like 60 Minutes legitimize fringe theories, they transfer credibility to conspiracy thinking. It's not random internet trolls saying this anymore. It's CBS News. That institutional weight is precisely what transforms conspiracy theories into widespread beliefs.
Now, one of the ways that you can tell that an entire conspiratorial worldview has been spun out here is the fact that the number one trend on X, the minute this happened, was staged. Okay, there's no evidence whatsoever this was staged. There's no evidence Butler was staged. There's no evidence Charlie Kirk's murder was staged or manipulated by the widow or any of that crap.
The immediate staged response pattern reveals how conspiracy thinking has infected political discourse. Butler shooting, Corey Comparatore's death, all real tragedies immediately dismissed as theater. This isn't skepticism, it's reflexive denial of inconvenient reality. Evidence becomes irrelevant when hatred drives reasoning.
Conspiratorial worldviews are disgusting. They are not just fun and games. They are disgusting because they are claiming things that are evidence-free about other people that lead people to believe that they are part of some coterie of evil people manipulating behind the scenes.
The moral dimension is crucial here. Conspiracy theories aren't harmless speculation. They're character assassination without evidence. Real people become props in fictional narratives. Families of victims get harassed as crisis actors. The human cost of this conspiratorial thinking is devastating and morally bankrupt.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because, again, there are people out there who will give credence to this, like Cenk Uygur, who is Hassan's uncle, and Hassan Piker is his nepo-nephew. He put out a statement, quote, "It's a sign of the times that as soon as you heard there was a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you heard speculation it might be staged. Why? Because we've lost all faith in our government. We know they lie to cover up the crimes of the powerful. We don't trust anything anymore."
Cenk Uygur runs the Young Turks, one of the largest progressive platforms online. His rightly so creates permission structure for conspiracy thinking. He's essentially saying distrust is justified, so believing staged theories is reasonable. This transforms healthy skepticism into paranoid delusion and calls it wisdom.
Where's This is the permission structure for violence right there. We know they lie to cover up the crimes. We don't trust anything they say. So probably, even though it's totally specious and bullshit, probably we should pretend that actually it's fine what they're doing. Rightly so. We're right when we promote conspiracy theories about the people we hate. We're right to do it because it's not our obligation to speak on behalf of truth. It's our obligation to speak on behalf of the way people feel. That's the most important thing. People feel that there's something bad going on. Therefore, It's not our obligation to tell the truth about what's actually happening.
This abandonment of objective truth for emotional validation is the root of our epistemological crisis. When how people feel matters more than what actually happened, evidence becomes optional. This thinking pattern enables extremism because anything becomes justified if it serves the narrative people want to believe.
See, and this is one of the reasons why, right, left, or center, I've been saying for literally years, decades at this point, the most important obligation that we in my industry have to you is to tell you the truth. That is our most important obligation, not to justify your feelings, not to pretend that your feelings of being victimized are somehow justified by a conspiracy that we can't quite manage. We have to follow the truth.
This principled stance on truth-telling is what separates real journalism from political activism. Most media today prioritizes engagement and confirmation bias over accuracy. The Daily Wire's success comes partly from this commitment to facts over feelings, even when those facts are politically inconvenient.
Here, Cenk is saying precisely the opposite. Nowhere in here does he say, by the way, it wasn't staged. Nowhere in there, right? He says, you heard speculation, it might be staged. Well, why were people speculating? Well, because people lie to you all the time and we don't trust anything, rightly so. Yeah, at some point you might want to say, guys, it wasn't staged. There's no evidence it was staged. At some point you might want to do that. But again, we have moved beyond the realm of facts into the realm of narrative. Once you move from facts to narrative, it is very easy to move from narrative to conspiracism.
Notice Cenk never actually debunks the conspiracy. He just explains why people believe it. This is the slippery slope from narrative journalism to conspiracy enablement. Instead of correcting misinformation, he validates the emotional reasoning behind it. Political bias completely corrupted his analytical judgment here.
Again, apparently conspiracy theories and nonsense are totally justified so long as you hate Trump enough.
But also, I think people jump to that conclusion that it is staged because Trump lies. He lies constantly, daily, and pathologically.
Ana Navarro from The View represents mainstream media's moral bankruptcy here. Trump lies becomes blanket justification for any conspiracy theory against him. This circular logic destroys epistemological standards. If someone lies about anything, then believing anything about them becomes acceptable. Evidence be damned.
Constantly, daily, and pathologically, he lies. Truly genius level stuff. And that means it's fine. That means it's all fine and it's all good because after all, Trump is a very bad man. And so conspiracy theories are justified. By the way, the crossover in the conspiracy community is very, very large between conspiracy theories. Because if you believe one, you tend to believe a lot of them, which is why
The sarcasm cuts right to the absurdity here. These same people who lecture about misinformation and democracy's fragility are promoting evidence-free conspiracy theories because they hate Trump. The double standard is breathtaking. Conspiracy theories are dangerous, except when we use them against people we despise.
Because if you believe one, you tend to believe a lot of them, which is why Erica Kirk, as this happened, she was taken out of the room. She was crying because, I can't imagine why. After your husband gets shot to death in front of the entire world, and then you're at another event and gunfire breaks out in the background during an assassination attempt, yeah, it might give you a little bit of a problem. Might give you a little bit of PTSD there.
Corey Comparator died, shielding his family at the Butler rally, a genuine American hero. His widow, Helen, attending another Trump event, takes incredible courage after that trauma. The conspiracy theorists attacking her grief represent the absolute worst of our political discourse. This woman deserves sympathy, not suspicion.
There were literally thousands of comments from people suggesting that Erica was crying wrong. One person put out a tweet, now liked 42,000 times and viewed almost 1 million times on X, and X is just a cesspool. Giving Erica Kirk assassination CPTSD is so funny, actually. The torture of a widow, well done, guys. Well done, because the most important thing is the narrative, forever.
42,000 likes for mocking a widow's PTSD after her husband was murdered protecting their family. These are the same people who claim to defend victims and marginalized groups. The moral hypocrisy is staggering. Compassion only applies when it serves their political narrative.
We have brain rotted a large segment of an entire generation of the American public, and then we are surprised when political violence breaks out. There is a soul sickness in the country, but that soul sickness does not start with President Trump.
This is the key diagnosis. We've abandoned truth as the foundation of civic discourse. When narrative trumps evidence, political violence becomes inevitable because shared reality disappears. The soul sickness isn't Trump. It's our collective abandonment of objective standards for subjective feelings.